Okay, so welcome everybody to the second session, or to the first session of speakers at 11 o'clock, fall on our first day of our plenary. And we're going I'm going to mute all. And our first speaker who we're going to be introducing is Mitra Rabiee. And the title of her talk is Productive Learning Environment, Students' Engagement Leads Learning Output. And we look forward to your talk, and I'm going to mute all right now. And you might have to re-unmute yourself, Mitra. Wonderful.
So thank you so much, Stephanie, for the beautiful introduction to the session. And thank you all for attending my session. So I see that we are 19, including me. So welcome to my session. And I hope everyone have already started, a good day. And we all, I think, enjoyed the speech made by Dr. Farahnos. So let's go. As you see, my title is the title of my presentation is Productive Learning Environment. Students' engagement leads to transformative learning output. So let's just, learn more that what do we mean by this? Oh, sorry. These are, some of the key terms in this study. I'm just going to go through each of these theories or speculations in our field as adult educators on intellectual growth by William Perry, reflective teaching and practice by Thomas Farrell, transformative learning by Mazzero and Gunn-Luxon, and student engagement and active learning by Elizabeth Barkley, and let's go. Okay, let's just have a quick review on William Perry's intellectual development scheme. It is based on a lifetime of studying cognitive and ethical developments in undergrad students. He proposes that college students, with others too, journey through 4 major stages of intellectual and moral development. The 4 stages are subdivided into 9 positions in his scheme. For example, the first stage is called dualism. And when we say, for example, other positions, we mean basic dualism and full dualism. William Perry's intellectual scheme can be just, schematically can be shown like this. So you see the intellectual growth on the top, then we have stage 1, which is called dualism, stage 2, multiplicity, stage 3, relativism, and the last stage is commitment. What are students thinking? Our students are on a journey that takes them through various stages of thinking. If we can recognize as teachers and anticipate those stages, we are better able to respond effectively and assist students en route to becoming critical thinkers. He delineates why and how a person transitions from one position to another. The 4 stages in brief are dualism. The other name, given to this stage is called black and white thinking. It means that every problem is solvable. Students are to learn the right answers. One must obey authorities. And who's that authority? This is us, the educators, the experts, or the teachers. The multiplicity stage is called everything is gray. It means that problems are going to be of 2 types, solvable, and problems that the answer is not known yet, and students put trust in their own inner voice. Relativism as the 3rd stage in this scheme, it tells us that, okay, everything has a context. All solutions to problems must have reasons. Solutions are viewed within a specific context, and every issue must be evaluated because it is contextual. And by commitment as the last stage, he meant that our knowledge is not isolated. It has an impact on our moral being. I don't know what's wrong here. Okay, maybe I go with this. Let's go to the second part of my study. A reflective teacher, according to Farrell, He strongly believes that teachers should reflect on their work. As reflective practitioners, we can draw meaning from the study of our behaviors and methods inside of the classrooms with the intent to change for the better. Reflective teachers have choices, and reflection is only half of the equation. The other half is action. When we understand the how and why of what we do and have done, we can take steps towards better teaching. Reflective teachers provide a fine educational experience for their students and produce a state of reverence and satisfaction. We actually feeding our students on a daily basis. By feeding, we mean fuel, engaging, and empowering them daily. We generate productive classrooms in which everything is clearly defined to them, from the way that we're going to just ask them to interact with us, to communicate with us, to do, for example, the assignments, the homework, whatever assigned to them. And also the most important section is going to be clarity in the assessment. They create tasks and projects that have meaning and purpose. It's going to be the topics of TBL and PBL. Teachers interpret productivity not as getting this stuff done. We're not going to go with the curriculum, right? It is there, just giving us or providing us, a guideline. But you know what? Our purpose is not just, to get it done, to put everything, for example, done by the end of the class or by the end of the term. It means that everything should be done with purpose. Also, we inform our students of what is expected of them and how to go about doing it. We actually make sure students that they are interested in and invested in whatever we are asking them and we are doing, in class. And these days, due to pandemic, we are just, running everything online. So even, sometimes, asynchronously, they are doing something, but we have to be sure that they are doing everything, let's say, in its own right way. The third underpinning theoretical foundation in this study is TL, or transformative learning. The evolution of this theory has paralleled and been strongly influenced by the development of adult learning theory in general, the job that all of us are involved in. As Gunluxon 2008 suggests, we are now in the second wave of theory development in the field of TL that is moving toward the integration of various factions of the theory and into a more holistic perspective. There are actually some other speculations or assumptions under TL, transformative learning. Partly is supported by constructivist assumptions. It says that TL is a process of examining, questioning, and revising our perceptions of our experiences. The humanistic assumptions, it refers to that human beings are seen to be capable of making personal choices within the constraints imposed by heredity, personal history, and environment. And the critical social theory assumptions, it means that the goal of this theory is to critique and change society as a whole, rather than explain or describe it. What do we mean by student engagement? Engaged students are trying to make meaning of what they are learning. This can be, one possible definition of that. Also, they are involved in the academic task at hand and use higher order thinking skills. And the engaged students always recognize learning as a dynamic process that consists of making sense and meaning out of new information by connecting it to what is already known. In other words, always they are, bridging what they are learning as new information to what they already learned, in their previous, let's say, exposure to any type of learning. Specifically, we are talking about language here. And what is meant by active learning? Active learning is doing what we think and thinking about what we are doing. Also, it means to really understand an idea. A student must be able to carry out a variety of performances involving the idea. Taking this as an example, students know about chemistry by reading, listening to lectures, and a lot of, let's say, content exposure to them, whether face-to-face, in class, or these days, virtually, online. But to really understand chemistry, they need to engage in the tasks that chemists perform. So that's the reason that the students who are studying, for example, chemistry, physics, I don't know, some other stuff like that, they have, let's say, some other courses taken simultaneously with their theoretical courses. And this is called, for example, chemistry lab or chemical lab. Let's just discuss about the student engagement model. So it means that in order to have the full student engagement, when I say full, I mean let's say the maximum level. Okay, so it means that we need to motivate them. So first of all, I have to be a motivated teacher. I have to be an inspirational, let's say person, teacher to my students. And then I should provide them, let's say, we call it a productive learning environment in which the students are really doing something and they learn anything that we ask them to do by doing it actively. Then we can see that, okay, our students are really engaged in that, let's say, class on that specific task. What do we mean by transformative learning? While combined motivation and active learning promote basic student engagement, some teachers are pushing far more. And I'm sure that every one of us, in a way, we are just, investing on this aspect of our teaching practice. We want our students to be transformed by their educational experiences. So transformative learning is a process by which previously uncritically assimilated assumptions, beliefs, values, and perspectives are questioned and thereby become more open, permeable, and better justified. This is, one thing that always I recommend my students that, hey guys, do not accept everything that Mitra, for example, as your course instructor is telling you. Okay, the content is there online or face-to-face that we use, to go to campus, but you know what, even the books that you're reading, this does not mean that, okay, that's the end of that. It means that you have to have a critical, let's say, look towards what you are reading, listening to, or watching. Now let's just combine all of these to college education goals, because part of, let's say, my job here is just teaching in sales school at Seneca College. So I'm teaching a communication course, which is a compulsory course, and all the students, no matter native, non-native, what programs they are attending, they have to take. So this is, the college education goes again in Perry's observations. He believes that most freshmen enter college as dualists, believing that there are clear, objective, right or wrong answers. This is, what I mentioned earlier, black or white, or black and white. College education helps students move beyond this level of dualistic thinking to more complex stages as they learn to deal with uncertainty and relativism. As experiences challenge their thinking, the students begin to see the truth is contextual and relative. And since there is not a single correct answer, everyone has a right to his or her opinion. Finally, students come to recognize that they must make individual choices that require both objective analysis and personal values. Based on all these theoretical, let's say foundations or pillars in education, specifically addressing adult learning, so we have to design different class activities. This is the definition which is given to these three, let's say specified groups of activities, like passive, which are relatively comfortable and distraction free; interactive, which is in format of small groups and active participation is required; and active learning, it means approaching the different concepts of cognitive, affective, and psychomotor objectives. All of them are included. What about the student's role in such a class that, theoretically, it seems like everything is in its own place? But what about the students? Students develop higher order thinking and problem solving abilities. This is, I think, the two important skills that we want all of them, right, acquire. They gladly take initiatives and assume responsible ownership of class time. They learn independence and accountability and having a blast doing it. They are involved in constructive pursuits and being given mindful assessments. They learn with a purpose. If there is no purpose, so it means that even they can not attend our classes. Even these days, pandemic, online. Above all, students are passionate about their learning. To measure our students' productivity levels, these are actually, the questions that every day I think we have to ask, ourselves. Are they curious to learn or now? Are students focused and engaged? Are they happy and attentive in our class? Are they asking deep, meaningful questions? Are they excited? Are they talking about their work with others? Are they challenging themselves and each other to improve? Are we really encouraging curiosity in spite of just, teaching the curriculum? Let's just, have all of these theoretical foundations into practice. So this is, how we can incorporate all of these into a productive class. So as I mentioned to you earlier, I'm teaching, COM 101 or COM 111, which is called Communication Across Context. I'm mainly focusing on these two skills, academic reading and writing. The assignment title, one of the assignments that usually, we ask our students to do it, and this is, almost to the end of the session. We usually, started in week 9 of a 14-week semester, and then, through 3 weeks, they're going to just, progressively completing each phase of that assignment. The title for that assignment, this is really interesting, Writing for Change. So in a PSW program, which I'm teaching, this session, so this is, the activity. Sample scenario or case study. I want them to read and reflect. This is called, individual task. Then I pair up them with a partner in class. It doesn't matter. Breakout rooms in online. I'm happy having, Zoom. Then we have, all of those paired up groups back to the whole discussion. And then you see that, okay, students, moving from dualism to multiplicity to relativism and commitment. What, how? Because you are watching them. Interaction and engagement, it's something, among all participants. Active learning is in progress because they are communicating, interacting, interchanging, their ideas. Reflection is also there because, not only they get the chance of, reflecting, commenting on each other's, but also, I'm there to give them, let's say, a second thought. And then transformative learning, this is, we want them to be able to transfer this knowledge and skills into real case scenarios. So this is just, a sample scenario, which I gave, to my students 3 weeks ago. And we had, a discussion on that. So if you just read the scenario, it says, Mrs. Jones is an 83-year-old client that you have been attending to for 8 years now. And you have developed quite a friendly relationship with her. If you just continue just reading it silently, I want, my students to focus on these potential ethical issues. So even, the scenario was one. The questions were the same, almost. They were all the same, for all the attendees in the class. But that was, interesting that we got different, let's say, answers, different approaches, different strategies, because the students at this level attending my class, they have passed dualism. And they are just, trying to get to multiplicity by receiving, other friends' comments, even, me as their instructor, giving them, let's say, a line of thought, and then having, the interaction. So actively, we are participating, all of us, me and my students, we are collaborating together. And the last but not the least, we, as the reflective practitioners, I think we can develop and become problem finders as well as problem solvers and create a deeper understanding of the surrounding world in collaboration with our students. And this is, my, opinion. Maybe you agree or disagree. Where there is curiosity, creativity comes after. So I think I'm done with my presentation. So thank you all for being patient, and I tried to be on time, and I think, yes, maybe, one more minute after, the allotted time. So you can keep in touch with me. This is my personal email address. So I'm ready, to hear from you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you, Mitra. Stephanie, are you